The Spontaneity Shop presents All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun, Tom Salinsky, and special guest Tom Watts. This episode, Jackass.
Hello everyone, this is All British Comedy Explained, the podcast where I, an American, finally learn about all the British comedy I've been missing out on. But today, we are going to flip the script, and for the first time ever, we're going to do All American Comedy Explained. With me to help explain this classic American television show is Tom Watts. And who we will be explaining it to is the usual explainer, Tom Salinsky.
Yeah, you brought back up British Tom.
Yeah.
Which is rude, frankly.
Well, it'll become very clear why we needed him here for
sort of
this
less
moment.
The nationality.
So we'd been talking about doing an episode on I Love You, Lucy for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But then you said you had something you wanted to do instead or as well as.
Yes.
And you haven't told me what it is.
No, because it's timely. And that's why I was like, we have to do this one first. We'll push I Love Lucy back. But have you figured out what it is now?
Well, what I decided to do was think of what you were selecting from.
Okay.
So here is the history of the American television sitcom in about 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So obviously begins in the 1950s. Jack Benny is a major early proponent. Burns and Allen. You've got things that are transferring from radio, like Amos and Andy, which was a huge show. The Honeymooners, obviously, I Love Lucy. And these all still look pretty primitive, but in the 1960s, the form starts to be codified, so you get slicker versions of kind of the same thing. So you have the Dick Van Dyke Show, the Andy Griffith Show, and you get these more experimental shows like I Dream of Jeannie or The Munsters. You also get Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In and the Monkees, which are really kind of embracing the 60s. And you get people like Carol Burnett and Diane Carroll and Julia, who are starting to kind of bust out of the mold a bit. And then in the 70s, it becomes much more about American society reflecting on itself. So you have shows like MASH, my absolute favourite, obviously SNL, Mary Tyler Moore, Sanford and Son, All in the Family, both those last two based on British shows. And then in the 80s, it kind of all starts to become family values again.
Yeah.
Cosby, Roseanne, the Golden Girls, and then a little bit of an undercurrent with things like The Simpsons and Murphy Brown, famously.
Yes.
And then kind of the milk curdles in the 90s. So now it becomes all very cynical. Larry Sanders, Seinfeld, Frasier. It's much more brittle. It's much more hard-edged. South Park really pushing the envelope. And then in the 2000s, we ditch the studio audience. And that means we just go hell for leather, joke-tastic.
Yeah.
So it's Parks and Rec, it's 30 Rock, it's Big Bang Theory, which does have a studio audience, but still has that same like machine gun gag rate.
Yeah.
There was a little reaction when I said Murphy Brown.
Well, Murphy Brown is something we will cover at a later date. But
I think...
So first of all, did I say the show that we're going to be watching?
Absolutely not. You couldn't be more off.
Oh, in that case, I have no clue.
Well, I think there's a bit of a clue there is you haven't gone back far enough.
No. He hasn't gone forward enough.
No, back far enough. Think about like the original references.
Okay, but the show itself is forward. You can't tell, Watts and I are a couple. By the way, I just want to say for those of you watching on YouTube, we are recording this during the London heat wave.
Oh my God.
It is 94 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and that's why we're sweating like
and if you see us like 3 different changes of tops over the course of this podcast recording, it's because they were so drenched in sweat. It would have been impolite to carry on the recording without making a change.
So I have some couple of hints for you that might help lead you there. First hint, the first episode happened in 2000. It ran for 3 seasons, making 24 episodes and 2 specials on MTV.
On MTV?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've ever knowingly watched MTV.
I had a feeling.
No, have I heard of this show?
Okay, another huge hint is I'm wearing their logo on my shirt right now. For those listening, I am wearing a shirt with a skull and crutches as the crossbones, and it says...
If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah, and that is their slogan, and that is their logo.
I have no clue what this is.
Okay.
I was so convinced we were going to be watching something like the Dick Van Dyke Show or Carol Burnett.
This is so much fun! Okay, one final one final hint. One of the stars of this sitcom was in a John Waters film in 2004 called A Dirty Shame that also starred British comedy legend Tracy Ullman.
I've not seen that film.
Okay, should we tell him?
I think you're just going to have to tell me.
I think you should do the introduction.
Okay. I'm Abigoliah Schamaun, and welcome to Jackass.
Oh my God. Okay, yes, I have heard of Jackass. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so...
From Yes Minister to Jackass.
Yeah, from Yes Minister to Jackass. Here's the thing. One, I told a couple of our friends we were going to do this, and immediately everyone was like, oh, Salinsky's going to hate it. My Jackass prank on you is showing you Jackass. The reason why I wanted to do this today and get it out as soon as possible, because Jackass has their 5th and final film coming out on June 26th, Jackass Best and Last, and also something we'll talk about a little later is Nitro Circus, who is a part of the Jackass universe, was just performing at the White House, jumping dirt bikes.
I think I did see an Onion headline, something like, in Jackass special, Johnny Knoxville attempts to walk upstairs without railings.
Yep. That's my boy.
Yeah, and he's an actor as well, isn't he? He was in Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was he?
I believe so.
One of the later ones.
Was, yeah.
Well, that's what he always wanted to do, was he wanted to be an actor. Tell me first, what do you know about Jackass?
Well, so these shows, I'm immediately kind of thinking about my lineage. So to me, it goes back to Candid Camera, which would have been the late 50s, early 60s, which was the first kind of prank show on TV. And then in this country, Tom might remember a show called Game for a Laugh in the 80s, which morphed into Beadle's About. Jeremy Beadle being this bearded, mustachioed prankster who would jump out at people and say, hey, it's me, just like the smile you're on Candid Camera.
Yeah.
And then we had a series from Dom Jolly, who would basically do comedy sketches, but he would shoot them with real people who didn't know they were in a comedy sketch. So it's not, the point isn't quite to prank them. He's doing something which would be funny anyway. His stock in trade was being on a train or in a park with this gigantic cell phone, like this 4-foot cell phone going, I can't talk, I'm on the phone! Like I said, that would be funny anyway, but it's funnier when you have cutaways to people who have no idea that they're on TV, where presumably then they had to run after them and get releases.
What year was Trigger Happy TV?
Oh, that would have been 90s, I want to say.
90s.
Again, I have not done research for this, so I am not responsible, internet, for any errors of fact I may make speaking off the cuff. But yes, I think it was 90s. So this is the next evolution of that, where it has kind of, I'm guessing, grown out of YouTube videos and people just doing dumb stuff for clicks.
Actually, Jackass came before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... just real quick, the reason why we have Tom Watts here is I came late to loving Jackass. When I was a young person and Jackass first came out, I was also a pretentious child who was like, I'm into high comedy. So I watched Frasier and read Neil Simon plays.
I love you anyway.
Yeah. And Tom's the one who exposed me to Jackass, but you were in from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was really curious what your take on it would be, because I suspected maybe you hadn't watched it that much. And from the surface, it's very easy to dismiss as really crass and stupid. And that's because it's really crass and stupid.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it should be dismissed.
But that's why it's fun.
Yeah.
And so, also really interesting, the point about YouTube, because this is pre-influencer. Like the YouTube clicks came after Jackass, and Jackass really evolved from skate culture.
Oh.
So there was the first wave of skaters who were doing their thing in California, and then the sort of second wave, which is when I came through more, which was sort of Tony Hawk, Bam Margera, Eric Costin, like there's a whole bunch of them that were in the Tony Hawk games. You're going to go into this anyway?
Yeah. It was more like how.
Yeah, but it's more just it's sort of
how did it make you feel?
An evolution from the skate culture. So we were already skaters living this lifestyle.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tom's a skater boy. See, that's why we. In case you had skate questions, we brought a little tech deck so we can demonstrate stuff with our fingers.
Nice. I feel like I'm probably a bit more rough around the edges than people expect. Yeah, like I grew up in Cornwall and like we were all skaters and we were already like skating's really stupid. Like you are going to hurt yourself skating. So we were already in the culture. So when Jackass landed, And before that CKY, it was already familiar to us because it's kind of what we were already doing.
Shall I get into it, gentlemen?
Please do.
All right, so in the year 2000, the Millennium Dome opened here in London for a year-long exhibition. Against All Odds by Mariah Carey featuring Westlife was the #1 song in the UK charts. Dinner Ladies was crowned Best Comedy at the British Comedy Awards. And October 1st of that year, America, and dare I say the world, was rocked by a rowdy bunch of skateboarders and fuck-ups with a little show called Jackass. In part 1 of this series, we will discuss how the show came to be, and we will talk about the crew that made it happen. In part 2, we will talk about the cultural significance of Jackass and how they have become the LGBT plus icons they are today, and how Jackass might be the answer to stopping the manosphere.
Good God.
Yeah. Your mind needs to be more open than it ever has been.
These are bold claims.
Listen, you made me listen to the Goon Show. This is my comeback.
That's so long ago.
And I haven't forgotten.
I mean, it's a bold statement, but I think it's fully justifiable.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it. Now, for those of you who are listening right now on the main feed, just so you know, part 1 is going on the main feed. Part 2 will be on our Patreon, which is where we're going to start putting these All-American Comedy Explained episodes just as soon as I stop writing 2-parters. I just want to shout out a couple of resources that I use. One is Nerd of Mouth podcast with Jake Young and Holden McNeely. They did an episode about Jackass back in 2022. And an article by a writer named Nico Stratus called Jackass Made Me the Trans Woman I Am. And Tom is here to provide color and context as a former skater boy. So...
a new job description. Yeah. Tom Watts, former skater boy.
Get some business cards printed now.
You used to be a cinematographer, now you're just skater boy.
Just washed up.
But as cinematographer, does bring own dolly.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's a real thing. Skateboards make really good dollies.
Fun fact, again, those of you who are watching on YouTube, you might be like, wow, they're sweating, but they're incredibly well lit. Tom insisted if he was going to be on the episode, he got to light it properly. So now we're extra shiny look. Jesus, God, I feel like I'm under interrogation. Okay, let's do this. The comedy series turned movie franchise was produced by Johnny Knoxville, Jeff Tremaine, who was also the director, and Spike Jonze.
Oh, no, you're rubbish.
Who's Spike Jonze?
Film director, known for, also music video director, known for, what did he do? Three Kings, I think, is his. And
Inside John Malkovich.
Being John Malkovich.
Or Being John Malkovich,
yeah. He's a very interesting guy.
Yeah. And
he also directed skate videos as well.
Yeah, and he directed skate videos. So him and Jeff Tremaine, the director of Jackass, went to school together.
He did that Weapon of Choice music video, I want to say.
Probably.
With Christopher Walken flying around.
Yes. Yeah, that's him. They went to school together, like high school. Jeff's a little older than Spike, but they knew each other through that. And Spike Jonze was a real big BMXer and skater back in the day. So he was running with all of these skateboarding crews a long time ago. So Jackass is a prank show where a band of misfits perform stunts and pranks for the amusement of the audience and themselves. And I cannot stress how much this is just born out of these guys trying to make each other laugh. To quote Holden McNeely from Nerd of Mouth, Jackass is the Three Stooges taken to modern times. The main cast consists of two factions, the LA Boys from Big Brother magazine, which I will explain, and the CKY lads from Pennsylvania. Don't worry, I'll also explain what that is. They are Johnny Knoxville, Bam Margera, Steve-O, Chris Pontius, Dave England, Ryan Dunn, Danger Aaron McGahee, Jason Weeman Acuna, and Preston Lacey.
If you'd given me a few minutes, I might have been able to dredge up Steve-O.
Yeah.
As well as Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
All the rest of them is just like, the who now?
Yeah. Hey, it's a whole world in itself. Steve-O said of the show that all Jackass really was for us was a grand battle for screen time. There was never any one guy having a preferred position of status. They would list us in a certain order, but beyond that, the one determining factor was just great footage. It's that simple. To the credit of Spike Jonze, Knoxville, and Tremaine, there was never any ego. They never featured one guy more. The only criteria was the quality of footage. By quality, I mean how gnarly is it?
Yes, how wince-inducing.
Yeah. Well, do you want to explain what gnarly is?
I mean, do you know what? Is that
I've
familiar
heard the word
terminology?
bandied around. I think I did know that it came from skating or snowboarding.
Yeah, it's kind of sort of just, I think it's sort of fairly agnostically across extreme sports, but gnarly is
Anything which
essentially...
involves sliding.
Where kind of,
It
I mean,
can,
it definitely,
can.
we will, 100% go
We'll
slide.
see sliding.
But it's more like something becomes gnarly when it enters the realm of, I am too scared to do that.
Right.
So if you're doing something that someone else is too scared to do, that's a pretty good qualifier for whether it's gnarly or not. And like the goal is gnarly.
Fear is a good survival mechanism, I want to say. So listen, because when we're doing shows from the 50s and 60s and 70s, there always comes the point, usually in the second half, where I have to say, this is how everybody died.
Yeah.
Did anybody die making this show?
That's a really good question. No one has died making it. There will be a tragic death at one point, but it didn't happen during the show. I will say the injuries that have occurred during the show, because they're out there doing press for Jackass Best and Last. There's a lot of interviews with them, and I saw Wee Man, who by the way is a little person.
Yeah.
Just so that's why they call him that. He doesn't wee everywhere all the time. But they asked him how many injuries he had, and he goes, I stopped counting after 10 broken bones.
Yeah. I mean, Buster Keaton the same.
Wow.
Yeah. And Keith Johnston writes about seeing like vaudeville clowns pointing at scars on their bodies and going, that was a huge laugh. That was a minute and a half at the London Palladium.
Well, I was going to do this a little later, but we'll talk about it now since you brought it up. One thing that Johnny always said when it came to doing these stunts is he likes the things that deals with gravity and blunt force trauma. And his big inspirations are Buster Keaton, Evel Knievel, and the Looney Tunes.
Makes sense.
You will see all of this referenced in Jackass, but he loved Buster Keaton. In fact, we're going to see a clip later where he actually recreates a Buster Keaton stunt.
I bet I can guess which one.
Which one do you think it is?
It's the house falling.
Yeah. Should we tell him now? Let's tell him now. Okay, we'll tell him later.
The one you're going to see is take 2.
Oh my God. Because when Buster Keaton did, actually Buster Keaton did it more than once, but the famous one, which is from, no, I can't pull it, but I have it. You can see the whole film if you want, including that moment. The film ends with a great big hurricane, a great big storm, and the side of a house falls on him, and that was the only take. And also, at the time, Buster Keaton was said to be very depressed.
Yeah. Oh. So it just was like, have a house fall on me.
Yeah, I think it was less like, because there was no safety. It was basically what they did was, I assume Knoxville et al. The same. They laid the wall down, and he stood in it in the window, and they levered it up, making sure it wasn't going to scrape his head.
Yeah.
And then he just had to make sure he didn't move.
Yeah, that's
if he'd have leant forward, he could have been decapitated.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they told Knox.
Was he really mismanaged as well? 'Cause I was watching an interview with Johnny Knoxville, who was talking about how much of a wasted talent he was. From
Buster Keaton, I think he eventually, because it was back in the studio system, he signed with MGM, and
That's right.
think they just didn't use him properly, or they just let him languish.
He sunk all his money into making The General, which most people think is his masterpiece, but it did not make its money back, and so he had no choice but to sign with MGM. And what's particularly ironic is the first film he made for MGM, although he fought with the front office all the way, he basically got his own way on it. It's called The Cameraman, and I think it's fantastic. But it was after The Jazz Singer, so silent films were well on the way out. And two things happened after the release of The Cameraman. One is that Buster Keaton never got his own way on a movie ever again. And the other is, every time MGM signed a new comedy, writer, performer, director, they would show them the cameraman as this is how a really good comedy's made.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that is such a fuck you. All right.
Cameraman is amazing though. I prefer it to the general.
Oh, good to know. Well, back to Jackass. In the mid-90s, Johnny Knoxville moved from Knoxville, Tennessee to Los Angeles to pursue a career as an actor. And as most young aspiring actors, it wasn't going well. He had done a handful of commercials, he had done some music videos, but he still had a job waiting tables. And him, his wife, and his small daughter were basically living hand to mouth. And he knew he had to do something to, get some income. And he was also a writer who was heavily influenced by the gonzo journalism of Hunter S. Thompson.
That also makes sense.
And Johnny had an idea. He would test out various self-defense weapons on his own body and report how well they worked. He had planned to pepper spray himself, use a stun gun, a taser, and then shoot himself with a .38 caliber gun while wearing a bulletproof vest.
I don't know how well a bulletproof vest works at point blank range.
Well, he pitched the idea to...
That's one really good way to find
I
out.
suppose, yes. Should anyone be that curious?
He pitched it to several magazines, and some of them point blank said no. Some of them were like, well, we'll write it up first, and then maybe, because no one wanted to take the responsibility and commission it.
As well as Hunter S. Thompson, this is also reminding me of William S. Burroughs.
Yeah.
Who, just in case listeners don't know, killed his wife when they were both on a trip because she said, time for our William Tell act, and put an apple on her head.
Oh, whoa.
Wow. Yeah.
Whoa. Well, like I said, no one really wanted to do it except Jeff Tremaine, who was then the editor of a skateboard magazine called Big Brother, was like, yeah, let's try it. And it not only was Knoxville commissioned to write the article, but Tremaine suggested that he film the stunt too for their new video coming out called Number 2. You have to understand that in the 90s, skateboarding wasn't just a sport, it was a culture. But before it was mainstream, loads of indie magazines catered to the market. And this was before YouTube. So skaters and skate magazines would also make VHS videos showing different tricks, stunts, and it'd be passed around from kid to kid. And that's how skaters learned how to do different tricks.
Well, that's very much the cultural point where I was in it, because we're all skaters, and this was before YouTube, so you couldn't just go online and watch a skate video, and there wasn't really any kind of readily available access to media. So skate shops where you bought your skateboards and your branded skate t-shirts and hoodies would also sell skate videos, and each brand would have their own skate video.
And were these skate videos instructional, or were they just spectacle?
Spectacle.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So each brand had their own set of sponsored riders. So each skate video wants to outdo the other person's skate video. And between the group of friends, you'd have one or two skate videos each that were all different, and pass them round and try. And it's when, before you could just go and watch something on YouTube, it was this physical VHS media or DVD that you'd pass around, and that again was sort of part of the mix CD culture where that came into it.
Yeah.
So and then you'd watch a skate video before you went skating, and you'd watch them hundreds of times. They'd always be on, and when you watch you'd watch a skate video before you go skating, which makes a lot of sense when it came to if you watch Jackass before you go and do something stupid as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the culture was primed for Jackass through skate videos, and part of skate videos as well is you watch the pro skaters do amazing things, and you can relate to a degree, but you're not as good.
Yeah.
And when they hurt themselves, you know how it feels because you've done something equally as stupid. But at the end of every skate video, there would be a collection called the slam section, which is because if you're trying to skateboard down a railing, if you're trying to grind down a railing of a set of 20 steps, you're probably not going to do that first time. You might do it 10th time.
So they put some of the outtakes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of footage of people falling over and hurting themselves, which became the slam section, and those became really popular.
Yeah. Again, it's all about footage, good footage. Today we call it content.
Yeah.
But even today, as I've been watching so many interviews with the Jackass lads, it's still it's about good footage, man. Once Knoxville got the job, he used the commission money to buy the pepper spray, taser, and stun gun. And he said he bought the cheapest bulletproof vest he could find.
No, my friend.
With the Christmas money his mom gave
Oh,
him.
my God.
He's like, at this point, he's in his 20s. He's got a baby child. And he's like, I'll just shoot myself in the chest. And Tremaine was worried about his safety. So he gave him a stack of porno magazines to put underneath the bulletproof vest to provide more protection. And they filmed the stunt. It worked. The first part of it is in the first episode of Jackass, of him doing the taser and the stun gun. But MTV did not show him shooting himself.
No.
Oh, don't worry. We found the footage.
Were you in the UK when Darren Brown did his Russian roulette TV special?
No.
That was incredible.
I've heard about
yeah,
this.
that was live. And he'd do this whole thing of most of the show was pre-recorded, finding the guy who would be his helpmeet, and they ended up being really good friends. But this guy who had to pick which chamber the bullet was in.
Well, because Johnny Knoxville wasn't a gun guy. He like borrowed the gun from a friend, and he loads it, and you can see it in the footage. It's so scary, and we will show it to you. He's holding it to his chest because someone else was supposed to shoot him, and everyone refused.
Yeah, that feels safer.
So he's holding it to his like point blank range to his chest, and because he didn't load it right, you just hear click, 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 click.
It's like watching someone play Russian roulette.
Yeah. It's insane.
Man alive.
So they filmed it. Tremaine saw it, and he thought, wow, this guy is great. Because the rest of the lads that were on the Big Brother tapes, they were funny. But because Johnny Knoxville had already been in Hollywood for 10 years, he could do the one thing the rest of them couldn't. He could look down the camera and present. And you know, it's just him being like, hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and I'm testing out all this self-defense equipment. And he kind of goes through it. And all the other guys were like, and jump off stuff. And one could argue then that's where it all started. Johnny Knoxville was seeded into the Big Brother family, and that's where he met Chris Pontius, who was another writer, Dave England, and the guy who was managing their subscriptions was a local skater named Jason Weeman Acuna. Steve-O was also a young skater living out in Florida. He had dropped out of Miami University to attend the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Clown College. Fun fact, I dated a guy who went to that clown college with Steve-O.
Yeah.
When he graduated, Ringling Brothers didn't hire him, so he wound up in a circus at the Fort Lauderdale Swap Shop and Flea Market, which sounds as grim as it must be. And he really wasn't having a good time, and he knew about Big Brother, and he wanted in so bad. He said he'd do anything to get in with these skater boys, with Big Brother magazine. So he'd start to film himself doing stunts in Florida, like jumping off of buildings into swimming pools. He was really famous for setting himself on fire and doing backflips. And finally it worked, and they started to put him in the videos. Now, on the other side of the country, while Big Brother was making this controversial magazine, which, by the way, do you want to explain a little bit more what Big Brother was? Because Big Brother was like the bad boy of skater magazines.
Is it like a National Lampoon kind of thing?
Yeah. So they'd have articles in them about skaters and skating, and they'd have still shots of tricks so people could learn them. Spike Jonze was a photographer for them. And
So like skate magazines would, because it was a counterculture, so they would try and push the envelope a bit, but it was in a relatively confined levels of decency. Like, you're always getting chased by security guards, and that's part of the bit. But what was his name again?
Steve Rocco.
Steve Rocco, World Industries.
Yeah, Steve Rocco founded a skate company called World Industries that made T-shirts and skateboards and stuff like this. And
with his advertisements that he'd put in skate magazines, kept trying to find the limit and push the boundary as much as possible. And then it got to a point where one advert he submitted to, he submitted to them all, so like Thrasher would have been one of them, but it got rejected, was a kid holding a gun to his head. And all the magazines said, absolutely not. We are not going to run your advert. So he said, I will make my own magazine where there are no limits.
Was it National Lampoon who had the cover with the picture of buy this magazine or the puppy dies?
Oh, probably.
I think
yeah.
the vibe sounds very similar.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like they
I think-
had a magazine cover where someone was doing a skate jump over a large stack of Bibles that were on fire. They did an article on how to kill yourself, which they thought was funny, but
But also it's sort of
another one on how to buy crack. Like,
well, it's taking a skateboarding magazine, which was mostly about skating, and then sort of like cultural articles about skating, and then really running with the gonzo journalism part of it, where let's go and just live these really out there experiences and just try and push the envelope as much as possible as us doing it as well.
on a side note, I put deodorant on my forehead for pain hair, and it's made no difference. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, I am sorry. At the same time that Big Brother was making this controversial magazine and these VHS tapes, there was a group of skateboarders in Westchester, Pennsylvania, making their own videos, and they were called CKY, which stood for Camp Kill Yourself. It was the 90s, baby!
Jesus.
We just did anything. They consisted of Bam Margera, who was kind of like the ringleader, Ryan Dunn, Brandon DiCamillo, Rob himself, Rake Young. And Bam was already a skateboarding prodigy at the time. And when he first started to make his own videos, he realized that his friends would get bored after he showed them like the 5th awesome stunt he could do. And so they started to seed in pranks and stunts. And of course, they had the crash montage. What's it called? The crash?
Slam section.
Slam section. Yeah, see, that's why Tom's here. The slam section at the end. And the CKY videos then also became this huge cult hit as well. So the Big Brother crew and CKY teamed up to try to pitch this show. And director Jeff Tremaine and Johnny Knoxville were trying to come up with a format for Jackass. And at first they were like, oh, maybe we'll have like Johnny Knoxville sitting behind a desk and then like reporting, and then we cut to footage. And it was actually Spike Jonze who was like, you have the CKY videos, you have the Big Brother videos, just use those. And so that's why the show looks the way it does, where it's just like someone being like, hi, I'm Steve-O, and this is the tropical pole vault, and then he does a weird stunt, it fades to black, and then there's another one.
Because this is the Handycam era, of course.
Yeah, so this
we don't have
is-
phones, but we have Handycams. We
Yeah.
have little portable video recorders that you can hold in your hand and jump off a mountain with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
of this is done on VHS.
Yeah.
In that first season of Jackass that went out on MTV, they were never together. That is all footage from the CKY VHSs, from the Big Brother VHSs that they just cut together. So at that point, it's basically a best of reel that they put on.
It's You've Been Framed
Yeah,
before You've Been Framed.
yeah. Or after You've Been Framed, isn't it?
I don't know.
This came out in 2000.
Again, I have not done any research.
Okay, and I don't know when You've Been Framed.
But it's the same sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
Or I'm pretty sure there was a sketch show in the 2000s or the 90s that redubbed it, You've Been Hurt.
Yeah.
Because basically same thing.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. And like, so MTV paid for the pilot to be filmed, but there was actually a bidding war. Comedy Central also wanted it, and SNL wanted it.
Oh.
Lauren wanted to use Jackass as a reoccurring segment in SNL. And I'm so glad that never happened.
Would have completely neutered it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
100% would have written it to death.
SNL is like as daring as you're allowed to be while being on NBC.
Yeah.
Which is not hella daring.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, I wrote this for you because this is where you wanted to talk about this.
Well, I think that's like a really important point as well, because the Jackass crew aren't comedians. They're enthusiastic idiots. But I think what's really interesting about Jackass is it's irreducible comedy. Any comedy writing you try and add on top dilutes it.
Yes.
It's sort of you can watch Jackass in any language, it doesn't matter because farts are funny.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what the oldest fiction film in the world was?
About a cabbage?
No.
It was the gardener watering the garden,
Okay.
and the little boy steps on the hose.
And then
And then when he looks down the end of the hose to see what's gone wrong, and the boy takes his foot off.
Yeah.
So 3 shots. And that was the first fiction film ever made.
Really?
Yes.
Also, female filmmaker.
Its authorship is disputed because as soon as it came out, it was such a hit, and copyright didn't exist for films because we hadn't figured that out yet. And so, like 30 people made their own version. But yes, it was a much less exclusively male enterprise in those years because it was the Wild West, because anyone could do anything.
Yeah.
But yes, the first fiction film is this irreducible comedy.
Yeah,
it's a great phrase.
Yeah, it's all about stunts. There's one in one of the films, and we don't have this, but just to explain how Knoxville's brain works, there's one where, and this is just backstage, this isn't like a stunt, this is him just fucking around. He asks one of the crew to put talcum powder on his butt, and then he leans over the director, Jeff Tremaine, who is napping, to fart in his face because he wanted it to poof. and it happens, and obviously because Knoxville can't see, it's just him farting and going, "Did it poof? Did it poof?"
The talcum powder fart was Knoxville's white whale.
Yeah.
Like, he'd been chasing that for a while.
Yeah.
But it's also...
That and lighting a fart underwater was something that they're like, they do it in Jackass 4, and because we've watched all 4 of them. We're going to go see Jackass 5 this weekend, and we had to watch all 4 to make sure that we completely understood Jackass 5.
Yeah.
But
otherwise, some of the nuances might have gone right by you.
Yeah.
I know, but in
Plot.
in Jackass Forever, they are like, we have been waiting 20 years to figure out how to light a fart on fire. And they get someone from
Tori from the Mythbusters.
Yeah,
I was going to say, this sounds like the Mythbusters.
Yeah, they get the Mythbusters involved to help them figure out the science. So, I mean, it's irreducible comedy, but it's also physics.
I think it's also
science.
there's so much joy getting a view into how Johnny Knoxville views the world, because you can see that he believes that Roadrunner is real. Like, that's how he sees the world.
Yep.
Like, he thinks you can tie rockets to your skates and skate fast.
Mm-hmm.
You can paint
a
road onto a side of a rock,
and he'll try it
and go right through it.
Yeah.
They
And
did
With
that
full
with,
belief that it will work.
They did that with driverless cars. Did you see that?
Yes.
No, did they? Of course you saw it.
Because Elon Musk is convinced that driverless cars don't need LiDAR, they only need cameras. But if you paint a roadway onto a brick wall and send one of Elon Musk's cars straight towards it, it won't stop.
Of course it won't.
Everything in your body says, don't drive into a wall. Oh boy. All right, here we go.
And so I steeled myself and accelerated the Tesla up to the 40 miles an hour. And as the wall crept closer and closer without moving an inch,
Holy
the
crap.
question was if the Tesla would detect it in time to step on the brakes. And it turned out...
Holy me.
So I can definitively say for the first time in the history of the world, Tesla's optical camera system would absolutely smash through a fake wall without even a slight tap on the brakes. My heart is gonna beat out of my chest.
Should join the Jackass crew. It's a perfect member.
Right. Hey, you know what? It's good footage. It's
good
not
footage.
a good car, but it's
Yeah.
good footage, and that's the Jackass spirit.
And Mythbusters were always blowing things up.
Yeah.
It's always like 60% science and 40% how big an explosion can we get on camera.
Of course.
Blowing things up is fun.
Yeah. So the first episode aired on October 1st of 2000, and these guys became overnight celebrities. Bam Margera was already kind of known because he was a big skater. I don't think you've ever played this video game, but he is featured in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
I've heard tell of this.
Yeah, so they aired it. They became overnight celebrities, and everyone thought they were great. Young boys wanted to be them and be their friends. And these guys would laugh harder than probably anyone who was watching it at the own chaos they were making. Do you want to talk about like what it was like to watch it as a kid and what the result of watching Jackass was?
We hadn't really seen anything like it. So like the culture was prepped for it. And then when it landed, it was our summer of love. It was suddenly like, you can be as free and joyful as you like.
And now you're not getting a tea tray and putting it at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
And sitting on it to see what would happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're sort of like MTV were really worried about people trying it at home. Yeah. And of course people were trying it at home because it was fun.
Well,
but
do you want to explain antiquing real quick, Tim? Because that was a fun... Look at that face. Look at that face.
So antiquing is the art of, if you say you're having a party at a friend's house, everyone's had too many refreshments and maybe has fallen asleep on the sofa. What you do is you get a big handful of flour and then you throw it at their heads. And then when they wake up, they fully embody the resemblance of an antique sculpture.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And then we all have a good laugh about it. And they usually take it very well with their eyes gummed up with flour, and now the room is entirely covered in flour.
Yeah, so and this did become a problem. Eventually hospitals started to fill up with kids trying to replicate the Jackass
Also,
stunts.
a really important point on that going back as well is the when it landed. So me and all my I grew up on a council estate below the poverty line. We were all broke skater kids. It was anti-establishment, but it was free. So you saw people having the best times of their lives, and the price of entry was free, which is such a contrast to kind of the present day influencers who you can't sell free. Yeah. It's really hard to make a commission on free. So you have to sell the idea that fun is expensive. You have to have the fast car or go to the expensive bars, and no one looks like they're having fun. Whereas when we saw Jackass and CKY for the first time, it was, this looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's still, I look back on it as some of the best times I've had with that group of, you've met my Falmouth mates from Cornwall, doing this kind of just stupid stuff, but just having a really good time doing it.
All you needed was a bag of flour and a good fart brewing, and you could do a Jackass stunt. Eventually, though, kind of the thing that turned everything sour was in 2001, a Connecticut teen wound up in the hospital with third-degree burns because they accidentally set themselves on fire trying to do a stunt, and that's when the moral panic really kicked off. Senator Joe Lieberman was running for election that year and decided to make his campaign about being tough on Hollywood and really singled out Jackass and MTV. MTV saw that this was a potential for lawsuits and liability, and that's when they started to crack down on the Jackass lads. And of this, Johnny Knoxville said, we had a safety guy assigned to our show. We couldn't jump off anything higher than 4 feet, and it just became ridiculous to the point where it was no longer the show we wanted to do. So...
Is that the point? On that point as well, Johnny Knoxville was completely right. Because I don't want to watch Jackass people do something I could do. If I would happily jump off, it's not gnarly.
Yeah. 4 feet's not gnarly, dude.
Yeah. It's not gnarly. 4 feet isn't gnarly.
No.
At the same time, you don't want your crazy knockabout comedy show to actually have a body count.
Yeah. So, swings and roundabouts.
I'm quite ambivalent about it.
You're like, I did them all, and I'm still alive.
It does remind me of the Bill Hicks line about it's always the same story. Young boy on drugs thought he could fly, jumped out of a window. You think you can fly? Try it out on the ground. We lost a moron. This guy was never going to be a senator. He was never going to be a brain surgeon.
But the crowd that were watching Jackass, we were all skating. We were all hurting. We were perfectly capable of hurting ourselves without Jackass.
Yes, also true.
Snowboarding, you're saying about scars. I've got an arm full of metal from where I severe fracture dislocated my arm snowboarding. I broke my neck scope. I've broken somewhere between 10 and 20 bones.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then 2 weeks ago, he dislocated his collarbone in his sleep. So stay in kids' school and wear your pads.
Sleep has become really gnarly.
But I broke this finger when I was about 11. Okay. That's my limit.
I broke a toe. That's my limit. You and me, we're the safety kids.
But the people that hurt themselves watching Jackass either would have hurt themselves anyway, or who cares? And that's my position on it.
Well, because it just changed it and made it no fun anymore. Johnny Knoxville quit, which part of him was like, that's really dumb. He spent 10 years trying to get something going in Hollywood, and now he's on this #1 show, and they all walk away, but MTV didn't want to lose this cash cow. And luckily at the time, they had just launched MTV Films, so they suggested the guys turn Jackass into a movie. And that's how we get the first movie in 2002, Jackass the movie. And the head of Paramount at the time, Cheryl Lansing, just took Tremaine, the director, aside and said, just make it bigger and crazier than anything you did on TV. And that's what they did. They could put an R rating in front of it.
Yep.
So then automatically it's not for kids. So even if kids watch it, which of course we all did, they're no longer liable. And after that, Jackass had 2 spinoff shows, Viva La Bam with Bam Margera and Wild Boys with Chris Pontius and Steve-O. Viva La Bam was, do you want to explain the cultural impact of Viva La Bam?
So Jackass was already very familiar to sort of the skate culture, but it was more of a vibe than maybe a specific cultural identity, whereas Viva La Bam really started to set what that social in-group identity would be, where then music started to come into it and fashion started to come into it more, and leaning much more into the rock and roll lifestyle. Viva La Bam essentially documents the downfall of Bam Margera, who tried to maintain a rock and roll party life indefinitely, but without the rock and roll part.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Bam was famous
Well,
for being a skater.
Yeah.
But then skating fell by the wayside, and then he became famous because he was a sort of rock and roll partier.
Bam Margera.
So there was no all that was left was just the persona of a rock star, but without the rock
The
music
talent,
and the
yeah.
to go with it. It's
Like he was
it's
a talented
tragic.
skater, but at one point, he couldn't do that anymore. Jackass, the movie came out in 2002. It was followed by Jackass #2 and Jackass 3D, which was a movie in 3D that came out in 2010.
As a cinematographer, and this is a hill that I will absolutely die on, Jackass 3D is the only film that has ever fully understood the point of 3D cinema.
Wow.
3D is a complete gimmick, and
Yes,
it's always been
I
a
agree.
gimmick. And, as a cinematographer, I watched the new Blade Runner in 3D, and it ruins it. It completely ruins the cinematography of it, because you're taking a 3D thing, making it 2D very purposefully. Then you bring it back to 3D, it ruins it. Jackass realized...
It's not 3D, is it? It's a stereoscopic.
Yeah,
illusion. It's
it's
not
just-
proper 3D.
There's no film that's better with it except for Jackass, which just 100% leaned into it.
Yeah.
Like, watching that in the cinema in 3D is one of the best cinema experiences I've ever
You
had.
got dildos flying at you. You got poop
amazing.
flying at you.
All
you
I've
got
ever wanted.
pee flying at you. It's great.
Sign me up.
Now, between 2010 and Jackass Forever, which came out in 2022, we do have some tragedies. In 2011, Ryan Dunn, who was part of the Jackass crew, part of the CKY crew, was driving home from a bar with a friend of his. They were intoxicated, and he ran directly into a tree, killing him and his friend.
Ooh.
And you're gonna meet Ryan in what we have to show you, and I gotta say I think might be my favorite cast member.
He's the glue.
Yeah, he's kind of the everyman, where the rest of them are like, Steve-O's like, and I don't know, Ryan's just like, dude, what the fuck?
There's a really clear change, and I think downfall in Jackass following Ryan's death. Like it shifted in a way that's not positive, and you can tell. Like, I assume you're going to rush to probably watch them all now.
I'm not be a completist.
So there is a real noticeable difference with Ryan Dunn, and then Bam's absence.
Yeah.
Well, and see, that's what happens. So Ryan Dunn dies tragically. Bam Margera was best friends with him and said he'd probably never recover from the death of his friend, fell heavily into drinking and drugs. And when they all got back together in 2022 to film Jackass forever, they put Bam under a very strict sobriety clause where he was drug tested regularly during filming and breathalyzed even between shoots. He was unable to maintain his sobriety during that show, therefore had to leave. So Bam and Ryan are not in Jackass Forever, and you can see that. Steve-O also had huge problems with addictions as well. Basically, Johnny Knoxville and Tremaine and the crew kind of had an intervention for him and took him away and put him into a rehab center, and he has stayed sober for now probably 15 years, I think.
Since Jackass 3, I think.
Yeah, since Jackass 3, which is amazing. But Bam, he didn't get that treatment because they were trying to film a show, and I don't know if he was ready to get sober. He is, from what I can tell, he is sober now. He's been sober for maybe a year and a half, and he's starting to make videos and skate again, which is really good to see. In Jackass Best and Last that comes out June 26th, it will be a compilation of really old footage and some new footage. From what I can tell, Bam is in the old footage, but he hasn't come back to work with the guys as a cast member again. He's kind of fallen away from them. And I just want to close on this quote. That was all very sad, but I just want to close on this quote by Chris Pontius that said, "Jackass was about us being the butt of the joke in the end. I don't want to do anything mean. It's supposed to be just mean to us. That was always the rule." So you'll see them going out and doing pranks in public, but they never put any of the public in danger. And we've really got to wrap up because we got to get out of this freaking room. But we'll pick back up with Jackass Part 2. That is where we will show the watch along and we will get Tom's reaction. For those of you who joined the Patreon to see Part 2, just so you know, we will be watching Season 1, Episode 1 of Jackass the series. And Tom Watts has also put together a clip show of us for another 25 minutes so you can see more of it. The footage from... It's a VHS of a VHS of a VHS, so it's not the best footage. So that we put together.
Listen, I was watching 1960s Doctor Who videos that have been pirated for me multiple generations from when the repeats have been shown in Australia.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly familiar with this process.
You're used to it.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, those of you who joined the Patreon, the footage that we show Tom Salinsky today will not be on the Patreon. You cannot get it on our Patreon.
There won't be a secret link there where you can get access to it or anything like that.
Nope.
We'd love to be able to do that, but unfortunately, copyright rules mean we absolutely can't.
We can't.
So don't join thinking you'll be able to get that.
Because
you won't.
You won't. You absolutely will not. And just a reminder, the Patreon is $5 a month. For Part 2 of Jackass, we will be talking about its cultural influences. But before we go there, Tom Watts, do you have any plugs? Where can people find you? And thank you for joining us here on All British American Comedy Explained.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And you can find me on Tom Watts DOP at Instagram and Mischief Donovan on TikTok.
Very cool. Tom makes really funny videos where he talks about current events, and I highly recommend you check it out. Salinsky, do you have anything to plug?
I think by now... tickets for the tour of the Gang of Three will be on sale. So we're back at the King's Head for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to Oxford, Cambridge, Chichester, Guildford, and Richmond.
Okay. Cool.
So yes, I think there is now a website at gang-of-3play.com, something like that. I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, cool. And my book is on sale. It is out, Neurodivergent Moments. You can buy it wherever books are sold. That all being said, what are you expected to say? What are your predictions?
Well, I mean, I never thought the words, "Okay, let's go and watch Jackass now," would ever come out of my mouth. I mean, I have seen clips. I kind of do know the vibe.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be quite as baffling to me as some of the things that I've shown you. But I guess what I'm asking is, like, will it work on me? Like, will it seduce me? Or will I just sit here like a curmudgeon going, well, this is all very silly, isn't it? I hope I'll be able to enter into the spirit of it, because that's what I do try and do.
I'm so curious. And I really hope that, probably more in the second half, it can make a convincing argument.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean...
the big question for me is it a comedy show?
Oh, it's a comedy show.
Okay.
We've been watching it since Monday. We've just been watching clips and stuff, and I feel so up. I feel so up.
I've never laughed more at a show.
Let's do it.
The rise and fall never did this for me. All right, let's go.
You've been listening to All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun, Tom Salinsky, and a very special guest, Tom Watts. It was a Spontaneity Shop production for the internet. Find us online at allbritishcomedy.com, join our Facebook group, sign up to our mailing list, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. Join us soon for Season 3, Satire.